The English language exam is very, very soon, and in line with these exam prep videos that I've been making and will be releasing, this one is about English language. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Darren, a first year medical student studying at Monash University here in Melbourne, Australia. For those of you who are new to the channel, I graduated last year with a 99.95, and what's relevant to this video is that I also scored a Raw 49 in English language. So this video will be going through how I prepared for the exam. Firstly, I would say that I'm going to add on notes about what I recommend you guys should do to prepare, because I didn't do like a ton of work. I did quite significantly less for English language than I did in English, but that's also because my SAC scores were excellent, and I feel like English language is very cumulative. Once you learn the skills and you've practiced them well, I sort of wasn't that hard for me to transfer them to the exam. So don't feel like that I didn't do much, that you don't have to do much either. Especially if English language is your sole English, which wasn't the case for me. It's really important to work hard, and you do reap results as well. So the structure of today's video, it will be split into two main parts. In the first part, I'll just be talking about timed practice with this with English language, and then the second part, I'll be talking about how to improve specifically for particular sections. Enjoy. Firstly, timed practice for English language. So if you're one of the very few who also watched my English video, because I'm pretty surprised if you do both subjects, timing is incredibly important in any subject. English as well. I feel like English language is very underrated in how time pressured it is, because you have 3 sections to complete and only 2 hours to do so. Now, it's really important that you have timings and you justify why you have certain timings for certain sections. For me personally, I had 40 minutes for analytical commentary, I spent 20 minutes on short answer section, and I spent an hour on the essay. Now the reason why I did it like this was because analytical commentary follows on well from the reading time for me, and I'll explain why. And for the essay section, I feel like that required the most time for me to write something well, and short answer, I just wanted to not lose marks in that section. So the reason why I say AC follows on well from reading time is because the way I split my reading time was 5 minutes looking at the essay topics and reading the short answer text. Essay topics, you're just curious, and short answer text just to get a gauge of the difficulty. You can also read the questions as well, and also the type of text it is, informal, formal, spoken, written. And the rest of the reading time, so 10 minutes, I would spend thinking about how to write my intro, and also looking for those techniques that are often relied upon for analytical commentaries. Now, I also split this further into each body paragraph as well. So for example, for the essay, an hour, I would spend about 10 minutes on the intro plus planning, 15 minutes on each body paragraph, and 5 minutes on the conclusion. So I recommend, and for short answer, it's sort of just 20 minutes. It's a pretty short section. You don't really have to pace each section. For me, I didn't really have to. But a minute per mark is a good goal to have. And finally, for the AC section, I spent 40 minutes, and that would roughly be 5 to 10 minutes, about 5 minutes, because the intro helps for the intro, and then that left me 35 minutes or 30 minutes for each of the 3 paragraphs that I usually do. So that would be about 10 minutes, 12 minutes for each body paragraph. Conclusion, I'd usually write 1 sentence, but that time is pretty negligible. I'd usually finish a little earlier as well, so I have time to check over grammatical things or short answer questions. Now, what's really important and pertinent to your practice is that every practice you do, you practice those timings that you have set. So if you haven't yet, experiment with different timings, different combos, and see what goes well with you. But once you've found one, stick with it and practice it rigorously. So whether you're doing a short answer and AC together, which I often did, if you're doing individual sections, if you're doing a whole 2-hour exam, I think I did 2 before the actual exam, you need to practice those timings and add in the appropriate reading time as well. So for example, if you're doing a short answer and AC, probably give yourself 12 minutes, 13 minutes reading time, and 1 hour and 20 minutes to do the, short answer plus AC, you would give yourself an hour to do those 2 sections. This is incredibly important that you routinely do this, and I also recommend using the exam paper as well for the AC, because it's a little different to, say, paper that you just find at Officeworks. But AC as well, you have to print out the questions. What this does is puts you into a real rhythm for the actual exam. You'll sort of know what it feels like to be behind, you'll know what it feels like to be ahead, you'll have prepared and experienced all those scenarios. So when you get into the actual exam, it's just sort of a routine for you. It's a routine for you to stick to timings and to adapt accordingly to the difficulty of the questions. Another thing to note is that to keep with your timings, don't use a timer, don't use your computer. The reason for that is you're not allowed a timer or a computer in the actual exam. Just use an analog watch and like the 5-minute increments. Learn to read them until it becomes second nature. And that's how you become extremely well geared and well prepared for the actual exam. Now, how I improved for each of the 3 sections. So what time practice doesn't really do is doesn't really help you improve your quality that much. It sort of lets you improve your quality a little bit, but a lot of it's because it's time pressured. And you're also working on your timings, it's a little hard to improve on the quality of your writing. Sometimes it's important to take a step back and to take your time and improve it. So firstly, short answer, what's really good is to go over the meta language list. So for short answer, you don't really have a choice in like what techniques you talk about. So you really got to make sure you cover all your bases. Popular ones are the patterning, semantic patterning, syntactic patterning, and what else? And I can't think of there's lexical patterning as well. I don't think that's on the study design though. Also, other big ones include coherence and cohesion as well for you to revise. But I'd highly recommend just going through all of it, because they could ask you anything plausibly on the study design for short answer. I didn't do too much of this until much later in the exam, much later in the prep period, which I feel like I should have done better. I didn't have all my bases covered for the actual exam, and I was, relatively lucky that I lost 2 marks for short answer, and not like a bunch of questions that I didn't know how to answer came up. But I did recognize that in that exam would have been better if I had a better grasp of my meta language. I felt at times that I was at a loss to describe what I wanted to describe. Secondly, for analytical commentaries. Now, for analytical commentaries, I think it's really useful to think about features that you can probably find in every single piece. Just to help you guys out with that, for example, formal register paragraph, polysyllabic lexemes, nominalizations, agentless passives. Those are the 3 key ones I would use, and I would start off my paragraph with, so I could write half of it really quickly. Those are the 3 ones that I could find in basically every formal piece, and they would give me confidence in reading time, because I would see them and be like, okay, that's half my paragraph done. Other ones that may come up, jargon, proper nouns, whatever. But I think it's really useful to brainstorm some of the ones that you should be able to find in everything, and also ones that might possibly come up. Yeah. So you can see that timed practice doesn't really help you do this, but stepping back and thinking about what's reliable, what can you try and find always, and also what they do, and how they contribute to the register or the function or the social purpose, is a really good way of improving your analytical commentary quality. Thirdly, essays. Now, essays, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. I spent quite a bit of time writing paragraphs, making sure I had all my bases covered. Because if you don't have like a paragraph that you want to talk about, you don't have examples from 2021 that you can use, then you can't write anything, because everything is based on examples. So I definitely recommend spending a lot of time improving the quality of your paragraphs and making sure the breadth of your paragraphs covers everything that you think may come up. A really useful way to do this is to plan. Go through past exam topics, go through SAC topics, not just the ones you wrote on, but the ones you didn't write on. Think about what paragraphs would have been nice to have, and like in an idyllic situation, you are able to write on every single past exam topic, past SAC topic that you've ever encountered. And can you see that even if you strive for that goal, it's like the moment you hit that, it's highly unlikely that you'll go into the exam, and for some reason, all 3 exam topics are ones that you can't write full essays on. That's a very strange occurrence to have. So definitely plan, cover all your bases, find quality examples, make sure the quality of your paragraphs is high, because you'll likely be using a lot of the similar analyses and the same examples in your exam essay as well. Thank you to you English language students who have tuned in for today's video. I hope this has helped you see how I practiced for the exam and practiced for individual sections of the exam as well. If you have any questions about the subject, about exams in general or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will reply to all my comments as I always do. Keep on working hard. English language is a very rewarding subject. I really enjoyed it. You can probably tell. So good job on you guys for doing it. Good luck on your prep as the exam approaches, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.